A film like this one, it doesn't set out to be an action film. It really is a political character drama. So the action being like a net result of a character finding himself or herself trapped in a situation becomes that much harder to actually conceive, because I don't conceive those scenes as action scenes. So then you're on a moving train and you're not really shooting an action scene, but you're shooting a character drama scene, which feels like an action scene. So the challenges then are, it's not an adrenaline rush shooting it, because I'm looking for those pockets of silence, I'm looking for those quiet beats, I'm looking for those character moments, I'm looking for things to slow down, even though the narrative is sort of moving at some sort of a fast pace. So that becomes the major challenge, because there's 250 people who seem to be pumped up to shoot on a moving train, and we're like, everyone calm down. I need my character to have his moment with that baby. So that becomes really difficult, because in India especially, a moving train, an iron ore mine, these are places of extreme chaos, because we shot in a real functional iron ore mine. So there were massive machines moving around. I could only shoot in between the work. So I had to sort of work around their schedule. They wouldn't shut down the mine for me. And still I'm looking for moments, because he's running with a baby. I need those quiet moments between father and child. So that becomes really hard. It's not just an adrenaline pumping shoot like a Mission Impossible or a James Bond. So that's really hard. Slow down but keep moving. Slow down but keep moving. There's a lot of this that's happening in India, that has been happening, but in the last 9 years since our current government came to power, there's a lot of it that's happening and not being reported, not being spoken about. What we understand as development, just destroying forests, taking out iron ore and bauxite and making devices and cars and what have you, that's just sort of exponentially sped up. And that it's but obvious, if that's sped up and urbanization is sort of mushrooming, you're going to be losing a lot of forests and rivers, and indigenous people are going to be losing a lot of land that they've owned for 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 years. And there's absolutely no reportage around that. Nobody's talking about it. It's not part of public policy. And people in cities, when I talk to them about it, they're like, you're exaggerating. We never heard about it. So I thought it's time then to put it in a film that is accessible. A film that hopefully a mainstream, wider audience in India will watch. And the more accessible you make a story like this, the more affected people get, and then they wonder that, is this really happening? And hopefully send all those viewers on a journey of discovering the truth. Because if I start making it in the most art house way possible, I'll only be, not like I don't like the art house. I am an art house filmmaker, but this is my attempt to go a little wider in appeal. It's the first film that I've made that's sort of accessible in its tropes and its choice of genre and its pacing and emotion. So I just hope that people will talk about these things, think about these things. Otherwise they won't. And you're just talking to people who already agree with you. And what's the point in that? So this was an attempt to do that, just to reach wider. So research, that's a word that I feel is misinterpreted a lot, because I have been around this situation and traveling to tribal areas, and I've been a tribal activist for almost 15 years. So a film like this it cannot really just be researched in a journalistic or documentary way. It's because I'm not working with real world facts, I'm not working with statistics, I'm working with emotion. So that immersion into a world that I don't belong to happens over many, 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 many years. And then to pull out those emotions and to fabricate a story, I didn't need research. I just had immersed myself in these politics and these narratives and traveled these areas and met a lot of people, stayed with a lot of tribals. And these themes have recurred in my work over the last 15 years, in my short stories. I'm a published author. My first novel 3 years back was around the same situation. Many short films, almost building up to probably this film. So I really didn't do any research, because it was all there. I just needed to find the right emotions to create this world. For example, the tribe that you see in the film. So a lot of people in India, from the states that the tribals are from, ask me, which tribe is this? I'm like, it doesn't exist. I've matched and picked things from different tribes and created a tribe. The minute I used an existing tribe, I would be beholden to sort of represent them very authentically. And I'm not making a documentary. I didn't want to be trapped by the need for authenticity. I wanted to move people. So I've fabricated a lot of things. I've fictionalized a lot of things. I've mixed and matched, like even the language. Now, in India, there's multiple film industries in multiple regions. Now, the state that I set this story in, the tribals don't speak the mainstream language Hindi. But my studio that backed this film is the biggest distributor of Indian cinema in all of India. So they needed a certain comprehensibility to the language. So I fabricated this dialect to distinguish between the Hindi spoken by the people in the city and the dialect Hindi that the tribals speak. If I had to be authentic, they wouldn't be speaking this language. So I've just fabricated a lot of things. So that all came from inside me, not from research. It's all we have. Film festivals are all we have, especially in the post-pandemic and in the post-fascist world. Like half the countries, including mine, are run by fascist rulers. And I won't even call them elected representatives. I'm using the word ruler. I don't know how they get into power in the first place. So the first thing that takes a hit is art. And cinema as art requires the most amount of money, and most of the time it's not our money, it's somebody else's money. So where do we go once we've made the film? Because I mean, 20 years that I've been making these films, you find a way to make it. You get people to work for free, you pull in resources, you take 4 years to make the film, it gets made. Then what do you do with it? And film festivals have been, for all my films, the only way to get people to notice that a film like this has been made and deserves a chance to be watched. Film festivals during the pandemic year, I mean, filmmakers like me were paranoid that film festivals would start shutting down. And that would have been the end of the road. Because my last 2 films have won a few awards and done a year of festivals. And my country then sits up and takes notice that a film like this exists. If I went straight to the theaters or straight to OTT, nobody'd watch it. So it's everything. It's all we have.